Hey, my name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. We talk all things talents in Connecticut. And on tonight's show, I'm pleased to have a returning guest, but it's so crazy how things have changed. Yeah, one moment he was here, and now he's somewhere else. I'm talking with Jeff Bernardi, the head coach of now the St. Joe's Cadets. Coach, first off, I know I've been texting you back and forth, during the basketball season, and then of late. I just want to say congratulations on being named the head boys basketball coach, because I didn't say that before, the head boys basketball coach for the St. Joe's Cadets.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's an honor to be back.
Coach, last time I had you on here, I could have talked to you forever because we were just talking shop and basketball and the whole nine. And I think now to be able to get you back on here, before we get into the to the hire and the process and such, you and your former program, East Lyme, had a fantastic season. And, if you can, just kind of sum up how that season went for you and the team.
Yeah, it was a season of highs and lows, and we peaked at the exact perfect time. We started the year off pretty strong, and then we hit our conference schedule, and we had a reality check. We played St. Bernard's really early, and they took it to us. And then a week later, we played NFA, and they took it to us. So that was a wake-up call for where we needed to get. And it was at a good point of the season. It was early. I had plenty of time to make adjustments. I made some changes on defense. I made some changes on offense. Then we went into the Christmas tournament, beat a really good Platt team. I thought that we played that team in a summer league. And I was shaking my head watching that game in the summer league because I knew we were going to play that. I was like, oh, man, what did I sign up for? And we won that game at the buzzer. So that was a huge win for us. And then the very next day, we had to play Wilton. And they were loaded. I was so impressed with that Wilton team. So like when they took Bristol Central to overtime, I was not surprised because I knew what that team was capable of. They beat us pretty good. So that was our tough point of the season, but we really rallied around that adversity, came together. We've always been a tight knit group, but I think we really looked ourselves in the eye and just made a conscious decision that the way we were preparing, the way we were practicing wasn't good enough, and we were capable of so much more. We just made that commitment to each other, the team, the program, and from that point forward, I think we finished the regular season on like an 8-game win streak going into the ECC tournament. And we beat a really good Xavier team to end the regular season. And that gave our team a ton of confidence. We approached that game like it was a tournament game, won at Xavier. And then from there, it just ballooned, got our third chance at NFA. Always tough to beat a team 3 times. So, and we just continued to make improvements and growth. So knocked off NFA in the first round, and then had New London, who we split with in the regular season. So we knew we could beat them and beat them essentially at the buzzer. I think we scored with like 7 seconds to go or something like that to win that game. And then we got our rivals in Waterford at Mohegan Sun. We couldn't have asked for anything better. And really, we've played our best basketball there in March. Won our first round game in states against a really young and talented Classical team. They're a team to watch next season. They have 2 returning players who I believe will both be juniors, all-state caliber players. So I think Classical with Coach Tucker is going to make a nice run next year. And then we went down to the wire with Daniel Hand. That was such a great game. I live close to Madison, so I see those guys every now and then, and they're still talking about that game today. It was their hardest game in the tournament, and their class, their skill set really just won over in the fourth quarter. And I told my guys if we could get by Madison, I think we had a real shot to win it all. But it was that final game was upsetting, but I think we got over it pretty quickly because we understood what we accomplished this year. It was truly a special year. The seniors were responsible for something really special. And I think the underclassmen understood what they have going, and will hopefully continue that into the future next season.
I saw Hand in the championship game because I was able to call that game for NFHS. And It's funny because I saw Kobe a couple times leading up to, because I saw them against Kennedy and then, being able to broadcast their game again for Division III in the championship game. And to see Hand for the first time, what jumped out to me was their length, their size. Their head coach is a former, he went to Albertus. I saw him play.
Yeah,
He's a couple grades ahead of me. But what they did, man, it was just like a well-oiled machine. And just watching,
absolutely.
I mean, they held a very talented Kobe team to 5 points, both in the first and the second quarter. They can never get anything going, coach. And you're
Yep.
exactly right. Hand was very, very good, even early on, like you said. Um,
Yep.
you made a comment, coach, about, some early games that you had. St. Bernard was very good. I think they were in Division III as well, if I recall.
Yep.
MFA being a Division I team, and the ECC was very, very talented. I saw Ledyard against Kennedy. They were not easy by any means. They had some horses. To be able to play there and be, playing that conference now for many, many years, do you feel like in some ways, now that you're in the FCIAC, and we'll get into why you're there in just a little bit, it's kind of like you're really not making that much of a change conference wise, because you're going from one competitive conference to now another?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the ECC has been very competitive. You look at the success of the ECC in state tournaments. Waterford's won 2 championships. NFA's been very competitive in Division I. New London, East Lyme, Ledyard, and St. Bernard's, and Stonington, Wyndham this past year won a championship.
Yep.
So I don't know if the ECC gets the credit it deserves, but when it comes to the state tournament, there's always a couple teams in the semifinals, and usually somebody's taking home a championship. So I think it's been a very underrated conference over the past decade. And I'm going to be relying on that experience, making the transition to the other side of the state.
So the St. Joe's opportunity, which is in Trumbull, they're known as the Cadets. It
Yep.
opens up. There's an opportunity. Obviously, it's kind of like the Yankees or the Giants, maybe back when they were actually winning games and not stinking, where you had all these candidates and you had people coming over from so many places. I remember there was one team that, I won't say the team, but they were getting candidates from like Alabama and Georgia.
Wow.
This is like football in Connecticut. Like that kind of tells you what they think of that program.
Sure.
So with you and other candidates and such, I mean, just talk to me about like, how did you feel like when you were applying? Did you think like, yeah, I have an opportunity, I may have a shot, like, you know what, I've got nothing to lose, let's try?
Exactly. Yeah. I was really caught by surprise when the position opened. I don't think anybody anticipated that. So I saw the article that Joe Morelli wrote, and I was like, wow, St. Joe's, like this is a great opportunity. This is a position that I really would like to aspire to. So I applied for the position. It was really just like an email to the athletic director requesting a resume and a letter of interest. So I fired that off to him. And about a week or two later, I received a phone call for a phone interview. Spoke to the athletic director, Kevin Butler, for, I don't know, let's say 20 minutes. I guess he liked what he heard and invited me for a face-to-face interview, which was the first round, and then there was a finalist round as well about 2 weeks later after that. So it was a very strenuous, very thorough process, which I expected, because I'm sure they had at least 50 candidates. I don't want to speculate on that, but I'm sure they received a lot of applications for that position. So I knew it was going to be strenuous and very demanding, but obviously they liked what they heard from me, and very fortunate to be the next head coach there.
It doesn't surprise me, coach, that they, were so quick to kind of, be like, hey, we're interested. Hey, here's how to, X, Y, and Z, kind of check the boxes, because the way that you've been able to, with your former program, and just kind of hearing your story when I had you on the first time, and how you go about the game of basketball, I could imagine the resume was top notch. The letter of it, interest was also very structured, kind of like I said, how you run your program in the
Yep.
past and now current with St. Joe's, where everything is very detailed. Everything is right to the T. I mean, am I wrong there?
No, that's who I am. Yeah, that was a point that they made to me when they hired me, was my attention to detail. and how thorough and organized I was, which is something that they were looking for with that head coaching position.
Now, as the interview process goes, obviously, every time you get a little bit of, news from the main people, it's like, okay, keep going. Now you get the second, then the third, and then you find out, there's a shot, like a true shot. I mean, up until the end, when you got the call, the email, the text, however it was, you don't have to tell me how you got it, but when you got the, basically got the, okay, you're going to be our coach, our head coach for St. Joe's. I mean, was it kind of like an emotional roller coaster? I mean, talk to me about that, man.
Absolutely, yeah. So my phone rang. I was in the middle of my AP US history class, and my phone was going off, and St. Joe's number was on it, and I was like, "Oh, I can't answer it right now." So I let it go to voicemail. I still had about 30 minutes to go in class, and I was just like, "Oh my god." So then I waited, and I had an off period after that. So I called the athletic director back, and he offered me the position, and I was like overwhelmed by it. I didn't necessarily expect to get the position. I just kind of went in, nothing to lose. And when he offered me the position, I was like, wow, like this is such a prestigious program, and to be even a candidate, even to get that far was an honor. But to be named head coach of one of, if not maybe the most prestigious program in Connecticut, I was a little floored by that.
When you think about it, coach, and I always like to ask this, especially with young athletes, but coaches as well, especially when they get a position like, getting the dream job, like I talked about the Yankees, Giants, before they started losing a lot. When you think about when you first started, like even back to your playing days, or even when you first started the coaching gig out at the time,
Yeah.
where you started to really kind of get your feet wet and understand the coaching aspect, could you have ever have dreamt that years later, 2022, you would be coaching for St. Joe's?
I've always had very high aspirations for myself. When I was a player, I dreamed of going to North Carolina, and I was so obsessed with Michael Jordan. I just wanted to do everything Michael Jordan. So I had a natural affinity for North Carolina. Then I played like my first AAU tournament as a freshman. That dream was quickly squashed. I started at Guilford for a year, which was my alma mater. Just trying to learn the process of coaching, and even before that, when I went to college, I'm not sure if I ever really considered coaching. I was still so focused on playing. And then my senior year, I got hurt. So I had the opportunity to be basically a grad assistant my senior year. And it was that experience as a senior in college where I knew like my passion was coaching. I'm an absolute firm believer everything happens for a reason. So obviously I got hurt that year, and that put my life's path towards coaching. So I knew I wanted to coach from that moment forward. And then the 5 years at Valley was great as an assistant coach, with the success that program had, 3 state championship appearances in 5 years, winning 2 of them. And then the head position opened up at East Lyme. If you told me after my first year at East Lyme, we went 1-19, and really were struggling. I don't know if I really questioned myself, but there was definitely some soul searching on what I needed to do to get better as a coach. And then that second year was very momentum driven, and the progress that we made, going from 1 win to 13 wins in 1 year. And I could just see the enthusiasm in the school building. The players were more excited. There was more of the culture was building. And then from that point forward, it really just took off. 2 years later, we were playing in an ECC championship game. I had some really great success. I was very lucky to be able to coach some great players over at East Lyme. Dev Ostrowski, of course, comes to mind, Connecticut Player of the Year in 2019, 2,000 points. It was a real privilege to coach at East Lyme for those 8 years. And then when the opportunity at St. Joe's presented itself, I was, why not? Coming off a championship victory with the ECC, feel like I had a pretty strong resume. So, had a good as chance as anybody, I thought.
Now, coach, how difficult is it? Because now, as you know, because it's nice outside, it's not basketball season. It's only
Yeah,
basketball season when it's like 20 degrees and snowing.
right.
So
Stay inside.
exactly. So with it being not in season right now, and because of CIAC rules, especially with it being close, I know some schools, colleges are in graduation mode. I know high schools are getting to that point very soon. There's only so much as of right now because of, again, the CIAC rules of which that you can go about as a coach, and with you
Yep.
being new to the program and such. So, you know, is there anything as far as what you can share that you've been able to do to try to kind of lessen the gap when the preseason and off-season workouts do begin?
Yeah. So right now I'm just trying to learn the players, to develop a relationship with them. That's my priority. And luckily this year the CIAC is having, I guess we could call it an exposure event, a showcase. So June 18th and 19th, there's going to be an exposure event where 50 teams, I believe that's the number they're cutting it off, 50 teams are going to be able to compete against each other. It's a recruiting weekend, so we're going to be inviting Division 1, 2, and 3 coaches to the FLAC down in New Haven, and we're just going to play for 2 days. But maybe even more important, leading up to that, for 4 days, I'm going to be able to practice. So we get a total of 6 hours to practice. So that's an hour and a half for 4 days. And that is, I am so grateful for that opportunity, because for those 4 days, I can teach the foundation of the defense and the offense, and the kids can take that, implement it over the weekend, where I will be able to coach in those games. And then a week later, summer leagues are starting. So even though after that week, we're done with organized team events, they've learned the foundation of the offense. They've learned the foundation of the defense. They've had an opportunity to have me coach them so they can see a little perspective and see what I'm all about. And I can develop relationships with them. And that carries right into summer league. So I think the timing of that is absolutely perfect. So we can just go from practices to games to summer league. And I think that will be very beneficial, especially for me being a first-year coach at St. Joe's.
I forgot about the event that was happening on the 18th and 19th, as far as being able to get colleges Division 1, 2, and 3 to be able to see the talent in Connecticut. I'm glad that
Sure.
you mentioned that. And you said that's taking place in New Haven, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. I may
Yep.
have to check that out. I
Yeah.
might have to, because there's nothing better than watching Connecticut basketball, especially in New Haven at the Fleck as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a great venue. I think there's like 4 or 5, they might be up to 5 courts now. And I don't know if they'll be using Hill House, which is adjacent to that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a tremendous opportunity. I'm very grateful that the CIAC is allowing that this year.
Now, coach, have you been able to, because I'm sure when, I know when you posted that you had the job, and that obviously word travels either by Twitter, newspaper.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure your phone was blown up a little bit, had some texts, some phone calls and such. Have you been able to get back to everybody?
I have. Yes, I have. Yeah. Yeah. I think I had to recharge my phone twice that day. But that was great. I'm very appreciative of everybody that reached out to me, dating back to my high school playing days. I had some coaches reach out to congratulate me, to current players, past players. So that was nice. Got to communicate with some people I haven't talked to in a while.
Was there one particular message that really kind of like got to you, like it kind of tugged the heartstrings a little bit?
Yeah. I don't know if I could say one particular one. It was all happening so fast.
Mm-hmm.
But some, like my former high school coach reached out to me. Jim Reynolds, who was the first coach I coached under at Guilford for a year, he reached out to me, and then some other coaches that I've developed relationships with. I think those were the ones that meant the most to me, were like my competitors reaching out and congratulating me. That meant a lot.
Definitely. And, coach, obviously, I don't want to keep you too long. Great to be able to have you back on the podcast. Congratulations on being named the head coach for St. Joe's, and to be able to see you both when you were at East Lyme and now see you there. Hopefully I'll be able to call one of your games or games,
Absolutely.
many games in the future, Coach. It'll be a lot
Yeah,
of fun.
we'd be lucky to have you.
But Coach, again, congratulations, and don't work too hard because the job never ends,
That's
especially in
right.
basketball.
Absolutely. It's been a very busy 2 weeks so far.
And it's not going to end. It's only going to
No,
get.
that's right.
That'll wrap things up here in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. The MRCT stands for Connecticut Town. I'm our Jeremy. Find them all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.